viewers, you're very welcome to another exciting episode of Extravaganza Plus with Usenika. In this very special OTC edition, we have a very important personality in the studios in the person of the Honorable Minister of State for Petroleum of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Stay tuned, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after these messages. And good morning. We are here at our studios live with the most important guest that we have had in the studios in 2017, in the person of the Honorable Minister of State for Petroleum of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. You're very welcome to our studios, sir.
Seneca, thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for coming, sir.
You're welcome.
So, we're here at the 2017 Offshore Technology Conference, and we have the honor and privilege of having you come to visit us in Houston for this occasion. How has it been so far?
First, it's my own honor and privilege to visit you guys because at the end of the day, the positions we occupy are public trust positions. We work for you.
Yes, sir.
And so having the opportunity to mingle, talk with Nigerians who are here, talk with investors who have a potential for investment in Nigeria gives me, it's my main job. It's been wonderful, a lot of very firm attendance. Obviously, Nigerians have been one of the main countries carrying the OTC over the years. A lot of Nigerian population presence.
Yes, sir.
And so this year wasn't an exception. But I did say, part of my byline this year was that this is probably going to be one of the very last times you're going to have Nigerians come in droves to OTC.
Really?
At the expense of government.
Oh.
Would like to see OTC populate sessions in Nigeria, have our own African OTC, bringing these investors back to Africa, because ultimately what you want to do is bring them to invest in Nigeria.
Yes, sir.
And not spend the time that it's too convenient to always come here. They need to come and see where their money and their mouth needs to be. And so beginning next year, we're going to have our own African OTC.
Oh, wow.
And I definitely will not be attending further OTCs. In Houston. I'll be attending OTCs in Nigeria.
Wonderful. So this is it makes it even more special that we're able to have this interview here today. So Nigerians here in the United States and obviously all over diaspora are very interested in the oil and gas sector right now, and especially after the fall, and now it's beginning to pick up. So, but there's been a very special attention on Nigeria in the recent years, and also it has been noticeably improved in terms of engagement, especially from Nigerians here in the diaspora in the oil and gas sector. And recently, there's been talk that the current president of the United States is going to send expatriate employees back home. But the fact remains that our own system is beginning to develop, largely thanks to you since you came into the administration. Can you tell the viewers what the state of the oil and gas industry was in Nigeria when you met it?
Well, when we came, I think it was in the comatose stage. Obviously, oil and gas always has been the mainstay of the economy, producing about 90% of the foreign exchange earnings, but contributing a fairly low level of GDP, largely because a lot of the benefits are taken out. But it was in a very horrible state. The downstream was in comatose, a lot of subsidy payments, fuel queues all over the place, refineries were not working. Joint venture partners, foreign partners were being owed cash call arrears in excess of close to $7 billion over 5 years. So investment had basically ground to a halt. So the first thing we needed to do was first restore confidence. And I want to believe that one of the reasons why His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari asked me or picked somebody from outside to come in was to bring a different equation dynamics to the table. And so the first thing I needed to was restore confidence. The fact of that appointment, I hope, brought some confidence. But then we needed to justify that confidence. And so we began to do a whole series of things. One of the things that we did was begin fairly quickly to review NNPC, which is the main commercial arm of the ministry. And we did, like you were aware, we removed quite a lot of people who were there before, brought in new hands, restructured the business to focus on specific areas of commercial returns. and then began a very transparent process of contracting and publishing. So we began to publish the accounts of NNPC on a monthly basis, which was the first time it's ever done. And so people could now go on the internet and see what we're doing, and see what we're doing wrong and what we're doing right, and be able to take positions in terms of what they needed to do. We try to curb favoritism, give jobs on the basis of skill sets, give work and contract on the basis of skill set, tie the IOCs to specific measurable standards, and basically just take the industry serious, because really it's our live wire. And that has helped. And then on downstream, of course, like you know, we reviewed the pricing structure, removed all the subsidy, eliminated about 1.2 trillion naira in subsidy payments, stopped payment of subsidy, and then eliminated fuel queues in Nigeria, which hasn't happened since we took over now.
That's absolutely
and then just brought
beautiful.
sanity to the place. Got private sector involvement expanded, so that NPC wasn't continuing to create a monopoly like it previously had done. And then last year, we took the very bold step of addressing the cash call arrears and renegotiating with oil companies, saved about $1.7 billion for the government in the process.
$1.7 billion
for the government in the process. And then restructure the indebtedness over a period of 5 years, so that today the financing scheme is stable and investments have begun to return. Total global investments that we're looking at over the next 2 years as a result of this restructuring of the dynamics is in excess of $15 to $20 billion. So the industry has quicked up. And obviously at that time when I came in, I was fortunate to inherit the position of the OPEC presidency, president of OPEC, president of ACFA, and the rest of them, and began to very aggressively move the concept that OPEC needed to come from a different plane. We needed to cut production, we needed to get more unified, we needed to stop the confusion within OPEC. That has worked. Pretty difficult at first, but the Saudis and the rest eventually backed down and supported the process. And we began massive investment. So today, oil prices moved from 25 to about $55, $56 a barrel. A lot more stability. We're never going to get to the $120 that we're used to, but at least we're at a price in where investments can begin to pick up again. Because it was a horrible period during the very low times of pricing. Over 30–40% of industry investments were lost.
Wow.
Jobs were lost. So we're beginning to pick up, but it's not yet uhuru. Shale production, like under Donald Trump, is gathering momentum. They're beginning to open up the Alaska field supposed of exploration. They're beginning to build exploration lines in areas where previously, for environmental reasons, they didn't. U.S. energy self-sufficiency is quite buoyant. So we're going to struggle. But I've also moved from that to address the issue of the likes of Russia and Mexico coming on board to work with OPEC, and that has helped. We need to aggressively ensure that the commitments that Russia and everybody made in terms of cuts fall through. But more important, we need to begin to engage the U.S.
Yes, sir.
Because although from a short-term perspective, they really do not need OPEC. But from a long-term perspective, most of the major oil companies are American. And so either way, it will come home to roost if we do not have a stable oil market. So the Nigerian environment is buoyant now. It's challenging. I'm searching for investors all over the place. We have a huge infrastructural gap in terms of pipelines that are decayed, refineries that don't work. We're working on all of those. And if we continue consistently with that aggressive push over the next 5–6 years, you will see a very dramatic, dynamic restructuring of the sector. But what is important is that suddenly people have taken notice and we're beginning to move forward.
Definitely. And I believe that we are on the right path. And thank you for being the right person at the right time. So, what is your current strategy? Because we have found out that there's a lot of commotion in your industry. People are beginning to take school seriously. They want to do, engineering. They want to do courses in school that are related to oil and gas, because you have been actively pushing the industry to recognize that they need to build up the next generation of leaders and professionals in oil and gas. And we've noticed in diaspora, so what is your current strategy to make sure that this actually runs according to your program?
Well, the key thing is focus. Just stay focused on the line of sight. And that line of sight is to bring the opportunities. It's one thing to have a globally active local industry, like the oil industry. It's another thing to make sure the benefits percolate to the citizenry. Yesterday in OTC, I announced the concept of Project 100. The essence of Project 100 was to basically find 100 Nigerians, and the number is quote unquote a philosophical number.
Okay.
It may well be more, it may well be less.
Okay.
But find a group of Nigerians who believe in their skills, who can think of the business environment, create something, and let government take the responsibility for helping them through to their success point.
Are you going to give them scholarships, or I mean,
well, most people we're going to be identifying are not the scholarship based. They're the investment based.
Okay.
In other words, you want to do something on the downstream. You come up with a concept. It makes sense for us. You need funding. How do we help you find those funding?
That's beautiful.
How do we help you get quick approvals? How do we make sure you stabilize them? And because for every success you have, there are about 10, 15, 1,000 Nigerians that are there to be employed.
Yes, sir.
We want to do deep shore exploration. It shouldn't just be given to external multinationals. Where are the Nigerians who have the capacity to do this? Okay. How do we get Nigerians involved in production? There are lots of independent producers now. How do we up their game? Okay. Refineries, how do we get them to participate? The modular refineries we're talking about, how do we get them to take the lead? Unless we can get to a point where Nigerians begin to take advantage and get the rewards for oil production in Nigeria, we would have failed. Yes, because yes, you produce millions and millions of barrels, but the percolative effect into the local environment is not there.
Yes, sir.
So we've had Nigerian local content. We've done quite a lot of success in Nigerian local content, but we now need to move on. Okay. Be able to create Brazil, for example, took a position 10 years ago that they were going to, within 10 years, begin to build their own FPSOs. And so if you had a contract, you show them the track to how they could get that. Okay. Well, we'll just let our own FPSOs get built and get brought in. So that's got to stop. Okay. We've got to take a dynamic position over the next 5 to 7 years, because we've been in oil business for the last 30 years. We need to build our own FPSOs. We need to build our own storage facilities. We need to be the lead shippers of our product. We need to begin to produce. We need to take over some major fields for a change. I'd like to see a Nigerian company actually be a major producer. Yes, sir. Compete with the and NPDC, for example, which is an arm of NNPC. Which we're focusing on now, because now they're doing about 50 to 70,000 barrels. But the reality is that they have a capacity of 500,000 barrels. Now the biggest producers in Nigeria, the Shells and ExxonMobil, are in the 500,000 barrels range. So really they have an opportunity, yes. So they have an opportunity really to climb into the big picture if they can be disciplined, get commercialized, get focused, and there are lots of Nigerian companies that can do that. Okay, and you think that they can do this within that time frame of 5 to 7 years? They can, because really the industry grows at a leapfrog basis. Nobody reinvents the wheel. So if today you wanted to do major production, you don't begin to train people. You simply hire from those who are already experienced. You hire the facilities, you contract. None of the majors sits down and develops the FPSOs or develops the drilling rigs. No, they simply hire the contractors. Right. So again, if you provide those facilities and you have Nigerian companies who are given those opportunities, they will. Yes, sir. So we need to create those 100 Nigerians who have the boldness to take on the challenges and who obviously can then send down, almost in a vibrative mood, the advantages that come inherent from some of those opportunities. So it's basically opening up, you would say diasporizing really, the opportunities, that are inherent in this sector. Wow. But I get my own act together too. Yeah. Well, wonderful. So, you've said so much already, and you've practically probably covered almost, all the bases of questions that I already had in mind. So now, in terms of offshore technology conferences in Africa, we are obviously going to take the lead. So, what kind of collaboration would you like to see from diaspora? Well, I'd like everybody who is out here to begin to say, when we do the very first one, hopefully in Abuja next year, what kind of stands do we provide? What kind of companies do we handhold to bring them in to see the opportunity? Because a lot of them will be coming to Nigeria for the first time in years. They will need people. Yes, they will need some people who understand the local environment, working as their agents, bringing them, coming ahead of time, setting them up, getting the hotels, getting the stands, and ensuring that they believe that they're adequately secured. Okay. But is Nigeria ready for that at this point? Well, Nigeria is ready for anything. Nigeria is a big place. I never worry about Nigeria being ready for anything. We've always jumped onto the big stage. We've done well.
Yes, sir.
The problem is that we're so self-limiting. We always keep patronizing success. It's going to take us 5 years or 7 years. There isn't a length of time when success shows up on the table. You grab it.
I think you're the one person who has ingrained that into the Nigerian psyche.
Yes,
your strategies.
Check all over the world, whether it's medicine, whether it is finance, whether it's even engineering, and recently space, not to talk of sports. Nigerians all over the world are right at the very top of these things.
Yes, we are.
So what stops them from being at the top in their own country? It's just a self-limiting thing. And the government is going to provide an enabling environment where people can basically harness their potentials. And if there's anything that the president would like to see happen, is a philosophical change in how we take leadership, the roles that we play. And so never mind the current difficulties, but we're getting there. And oil industry, better than any other industry in Nigeria, must be the stepping stone for this. So next year will be a good testing ground. How many investors, for example, can we bring who ordinarily would be at OTC here, but now are going to showcase in Nigeria? Because if we bring 100 investors and 20 stay back and do an investment, that's a huge number.
Yes, it is. That's wonderful. Wow. This has been so interesting and so exciting. So, what is the one message / instruction / advice that you would want to give to Nigerians, maybe not just in oil and gas, but in Nigerians generally, about the role that we as Nigerians all need to play in building our nation back and making sure that we stay successful?
I'll give more than one message. The first I will give will be for Nigerians to understand that they're a very unique breed of people. 1 out of every 4 Africans are Nigerian, probably the most educated lot in Africa, probably the most aggressive lot, probably the most on your face type lot. They need to bring that home and try and make it work for them. And they need to continue the assertiveness and the assurance of their belief in themselves and not give up. That's one. So nobody should put you down. Second is that despite all that has happened in the country over the last 3 or so decades, there's a huge potential for growth in Nigeria. And we need to now hold hands and bring out those potentials for all of you to take advantage of. So sit back in your homes and say to yourself, what am I good in? And it's not necessarily what you trained in. My experience in life has been that you go to school, circumstances make you read a particular course. But God gives everybody an inherent skill set with which you are born. So find out what that skill set is that you enjoy doing, and I say to yourself, how can I bring it home and make a difference? It doesn't matter what it is. And get ready to join Nigeria in this huge supersonic train ride, that brings opportunities to everybody. And thirdly, with all the difficulties all over the world, the reality is that the next generational movement has got to be to Africa. We're the ones who have forests, who have villages, who have reality, who have environmental sanity. That's where to be. And so it's nice to be here. It's nice to do things here. Certainly make your mark here. But if you can't make that get important and resonate locally, you're missing the boat. I went to school here at Harvard. I finished and went back home. And it may not have been an easy ride, but I've been one of those exceptionally lucky to have the opportunity to deliver what I'm doing today. But that opportunity is available to every Nigerian who really wants to think inwards and think backwards and think homewards. And I urge all of you to bring all the skill set that I see all over the world that we were noted for and begin to make that happen to get Nigeria to the next plane.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
So, viewers, you've heard from our Honorable Minister of State for Petroleum. And it has been very inspiring for me personally, and I know that you have also been inspired listening to everything that he has said here today. So, we're ready?
Thank you.
You have our undivided support.
Absolutely.
From here in Houston.
I appreciate that.
And we wish you a very safe trip.
Thank you.
Back home to Nigeria.
Thank you.
Until we meet again.
Thank you.
And on that note, viewers, thank you for watching, and goodbye. Wow, viewers, I'm sure you enjoyed this very special edition of Extravaganza Plus with Usenika OTC edition. Until next time, this is your favorite host, Usenika, signing off. God bless.